Hello. I don't know if you can hear me today. My microphone appears to be up and working. But if first person comes in, if you'll tell me if you can hear me, otherwise we're gonna have to run over and do the Zoom thing again. We checked it last night. Everything seemed to be working. I'm a few minutes early, trying to make sure this is working. And let's see what's going on today. Hi, you can hear me? Yay! Yes! Visuals and sounds and everything. I was a broadcast film major and I sat through about a semester worth of the development of film as a media type, from little little flip cards that were in viewers to through the early silent movies to when sound came in. And actually there was a period of time when sound came in because the sound producing stuff was so clunky that films actually moved backwards. They were really visually the silent movies at the end of the 20s were just incredible visual treats. Oh, it's so fun to have sound and everything. I found out what happened. I will explain this to you, and I will probably explain it again later in the day. Um, Tech support was in here screwing with things, and apparently the update came through from my microphone, and he didn't go back and update my microphone. So when tech support came back to see me, he said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Why did I have to go figure out how to do Zoom?" And I want you guys to know I deserve an award. I had never done a live Zoom like that, and I figured out how to get into it, I thought, in record time. Although I found out YouTube will not let me take off all of my mistakes. So everybody gets to see 6 times I came on, and finally the seventh it held, or whatever it was. Danny was giving me a hard time about this yesterday. Anyway, we're not quite. I've got one more minute, and then we're gonna go into all of the things I've picked for you today. If you guys have questions, get them in now. Hi, Suzanne. How's Canada? Um, are you guys out and about there yet? I know they've opened the border to Americans. I don't know why they'd want our motley crew across the border, but my Canadian relatives are actually very nice. I have a cousin who lives up there. She lives in Ontario, though. Um, anyway, we are now at 1 o'clock, so we're going to start. We're going to start the day the way we usually do, which is for me to talk about the toss I did in the garden. And this is to kind of give me a chance to look at what this group's going to be like. And it's kind of interesting because earlier today I pulled the sunstone out of the, and the lettering looks good to me. Okay, sunstone out of the deck as our card for the day. And sunstone means it's a beautiful stone. If you've never seen one, it's creams and oranges with little very vibrant specks of other color in it. It looks like a sunstone. The magic of the sunstone is upon us today. Breathe this powerful energy, filling every cell of your being. The medicine of this crystal is all about encouraging you to step fully into your own power, all aspects of your life, and to have sound in your life. It draws energy from the sun. It's a powerful, dynamic energy. When this stone shows up, it connects your energy with divine source in all things, awakens your own self-empowerment, because it has to do with the sacral chakra, enhances leadership qualities and the ability to listen to your own higher guidance, dissolves frustrations from your life. Boy, we could get a big giant stone of that. Activates rebirth and facilitates transformation. The Divas of the Sunstone have arrived to share the next part of your journey with you. Sunstone's a turnaround card. And this is what it looks like. That's a really good sample. This deck has really good samples of what these stones should look like. And it says on this card, empowerment. And the sunstone has to do with the sacral chakra, which I thought was kind of interesting because after I pulled that stone and read about it and said, okay, that's kind of empowerment is our message today. Thank you, Suzanne. I rolled the mind into the sacral chakra, and that means that the emphasis is on power through connecting our mental forces, and that's really what it's talking about. Is taking the power of your body and bringing it up into your mind. And then it's got the body and water, which means we're pulling our body and our energy within our bodies moving forward in a good place. We've got clarity, which means what we're going to see today is true. I thought this was really cool. Third eye brings abundance into life by manifesting whatever your visions are. And we had this spirit in the throat chakra, which is to express what we need to say. Spirit comes through self-expression, which is basically the theory of the sunstone. It works with that part of us that is in the sacral chakra, where you come up with your new ideas. It's a creative force in our life. So I thought it was really good that I pulled that stone and then immediately rolled these stones into the garden. Let's see. Okay, today I'm going to look at how we use the past life space. Remember, I've been told I'm going to get a 20-day wake-up call from my angels. And when I woke up this morning and I was standing in the garden, I was standing in a place that wasn't the woolly wild jungle that Restate had been. It was a well-kept place. But have you ever been to an arboretum and you have to kind of look down and see what the little things are by the flowers, and they tell you what they are, and sometimes they'll give you a little history in the flower. And I was having to lean over and read, and I said, but it had pathways. It had a rational kind of pathway in it. And I said to my angels, okay, what's going on? And they said, I said, what part of the garden am I in? They said, the past. I said, it's pretty well kept for the past. That's not to put that much for it. And they said, yes, but the thing is, you need, there's some flowers you just recognize and you feel warm. There's certain kinds of tulips I grew up with. There's certain kinds of hyacinths that were the first flower you'd see where I grew up, where it was cold, that would come through, and that meant spring was here. There's lilacs, which were always in bloom around my birthday, and whenever I smell lilacs, I always feel like a kid on her birthday. But, there's different flowers like that were around me, but then there were these ones that were unidentifiable, or they were past their prime. You know how plants get past their prime and they kind of start to winnow out. And they said, that's how you use your past on your grid, on the garden. And it said, the garden plot has marked beds. Some of the plants have little advertisers like you see in an arboretum. They're clearly marked, recognizable, but some are fuzzy, faded, and some are names you can't pronounce. They're just outside your scope. My question was, is it worth the effort to hold on to all those old overgrown plants, or recognize it as a cycle of life and it's time to let the old plants go? And then they said, that's the message from the past. Look at your past. Keep the flowers that keep you warm and have happy attached memories. Reassess, replant, and renew. These are the elements of your past that are in the garden today. So was their enlightenment for me on how to deal with things I roll in the past. Because fire is past life, and it can be things in this life, but fire is the attachment to things in the past life. This past is your own personal life and issues coming up from the past, and that's what it's about. Okay, let's see. I saw some questions come through. Do I place under? Okay, if your table's big enough, you can just put it on the table. If your table's not big enough, you have to steal a little box from the post office that will hold it up, or put some sort of cardboard or something underneath it. I'm going to fix this up. I've got some really cool fabric that's kind of got like moons and stars on it. I'm going to put it underneath it to kind of make this a little more doesn't look like I'm reading out a pizza box. Although I will tell you, one of the best crystal grids I ever built, I said we have to put it in something so that it won't get jostled around, and the only thing she had was a pizza box. And when I was I've been in her store once since the pandemic started, and it's still in the back corner in the pizza box, and it works great. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, okay. The woman who had the reading about a financial change in autumn, I don't understand that I would feel that it was a false movement. It may be that when you're negotiating it, what I would sense if I was saying something like that, and I'll just roll it again and see what we get. But, okay. Let's see. What is the situation around her financial move in the fall? Okay, there's some part of it that it's really going to turn out to be a good thing for you, but there's some part of it that you're going to have to make sort of a real physical adjustment about it. And I don't think it meant false movement. It meant you may feel uncomfortable. I maybe have used the wrong word, feel uncomfortable in it, but your mind's getting ready to it. It's really in a great place. Your spirit and clarity are with you in this movement. But I don't think it's meant that you'd make a mistake making the move, which is what I kind of sense from your question. What I sense it is that you won't feel comfortable with it. And sometimes I know when I've moved to other jobs, and I've had a zillion of them, I always sort of feel awkward at the beginning. Okay, Andrea Gavin. I have several kinds of gemstone cards. This is a really good set of cards. I'll look at that. I think COVID's going to get a whole lot worse. I had some people wanting me to come out and do parties, and I told them I wouldn't make any commitments till August. And if things keep being grim. Oh, by the way, my daughter did not have the D variant. She just had an extremely bad summer cold. But they said they had a whole lot of people in the clinic getting checked for the same thing. These are little bitty cards, and I've got 2 stacks about this thick. It's pretty much every stone you can imagine. This is the sunstone one I pulled this morning to double check, but it puts what chakra parts it relates to, and then metaphysical properties. And I got these from Crystal Vaults. They were just having a big sale on them. They're teensy-tiny, so don't take up a whole lot of space. You can organize them any way you want. I'm going to organize them by chakras. And I just got these about a week ago, and I haven't had much chance to work with them. But it's Crystal Vaults, VAULTS. I don't work for them, don't have anything to do with them, but they have some really good literature. Along with them, they give you chakra cards, which tell you which chakra has what stone in relationship to it. And I looked through those, and they all looked very real and things I would consider reasonable. So, yeah, you can, but you don't have to get other flower cards to read the garden. It's just what happens. My office is going back in August. So we talked about the August going back in August. Use your own common sense, because I swear it's going to be such a patchwork quilt, what works and what doesn't. I live in a county where we have a lot of people immunized. We've got a lot of people vaccinated. I know I got my vaccine in January because I'm old, but my kids were vaccinated in April. And my son that's in Austin got vaccinated in April. So they're doing it, but it just, and in some places it's just such a patchwork quilt. And so we're safe here, but we can't tell the people to not come out of Tyler and not come out of East Texas. And East Texas's immunization rate is absolutely dismal. They come over here and breathe on us, and guess what happens? Oh, the garden is working. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, it's fun. When I did the garden, I had one person who was sort of around when we were coming up with all of it, and he said, "Oh, you're going to have to write a book to explain it." And I was like, "No, I've got my little crib sheet. We're going to be all intuitive now, and now I'm finding out every day I'm writing another page that's going to be in that book." And when I do publish the 20 aspects to the garden. They'll be on a PDF, and when you get the garden, there's a little QR code you can scan. It takes you to the part of my website that has the information about how to work with the garden. Let's see. Oh no, it's a good pizza box. I know the pizza company came from good pizza came from that company too. Meal posts here. Yeah, those small cars are cool. You can carry them around with you. If I ever go back out into the real world, they will be much better in my briefcase is actually a backpack, and they'll be much easier to take care of there. Someone had a question. Oh, energy around my lower back issue. Okay, I'm going to go back to that book I referred to, The Top 50 Messages from Your Body. And I'm going to go through what they highlight for back problems. Okay. Back problems can be utter isolation, and that means a deep loneliness from being separated from loved ones. Failure freak out. That's a fear of losing, both on the pragmatic and the ultimate planes, energetic planes. As a result, we are intensely self-determining and willful and refuse to give up power, which locks your ability to feel into the lower chakras. I don't see me being it. We tend to dump on ourselves instead of dealing with unacceptable qualities and feelings and just leaving them behind. That can come from growing up in a denial or very dysfunctional family. Skid Row Sid, these are often financial worth concerns reflecting on an underlying sense of I don't deserve anything, so you block the energy that would create a better way out for yourself. You hold it back. And will issues. You can experience conflicts of will with others or within yourself. Usually it's with others. You're either dominating someone and you're having to use all your energy to push them forward, or you're defending yourself and you're squashing your energy back in your body. That's what this man's opinion is. So think about those issues and go find a good meditation for the root sacral and solar plexus and see if that can help you spin out. Okay, we're going to see about what's the overall situation around frontline workers in the kind of shifts you're doing. And then I'll look at wounded healers. Okay, frontline workers. Frontline workers, this whole situation has made us really understand the value of the people who work in the front lines. Clarity's moving towards us about dealing with them, but right now their spirit is locked between earth and air. Your spirit's transforming and it's not finished. It's going to take more time, and because this means thinking your spirit, and this is moving forward and being finished. Your body is in air. Ground your thoughts. And the other one for your thoughts is your thoughts are all important. So a lot of what's going to happen around the frontline workers is going to, as the energy shifts, I think more people are going to see them much more positively. And they're not just going to be people who have that job that I don't pay any mind to, because people began to realize how much they couldn't get around. I'm really lucky. I live with my kids. I don't have to go out and do anything. They can kind of do it for me. But I really appreciate the people on the day when I realize I really do need groceries of some kind and the kids are locked up in their work and their jobs. And I hope that, and I call those people to come. I had a woman deliver groceries to me this morning, and I really appreciate the fact that those people are out there doing that job and doing that work. Wounded healers, flying without a broom, okay. Okay. Okay, this, I don't think it means we need to restate, but I think you need to clear up issues around your, if you are the wounded healer, you need to clear up issues around your own body. Once again, we have, we're getting a lot of this today. Clarification comes from dealing with your past. Your emotions are moving forward and they're actually progressing in a really positive way. Clarity is going to come from your own thinking, but the most important one for you is this stone because it's the furthest out. And it says that think of the healing in the future tense. Think of I am healed. Will be, things are coming towards me that are healing me. Don't just dwell on this one, on the body being in restate, because body in restate is, you don't see your options clearly, but the stones are saying all the options are clear. It just means you're blocking yourself from seeing a way out. I don't know if you mean wounded healers in general. If you're talking about your situation, I'm reading it as your situation. There is Chiron, the wounded healer, in the astrologic charts, which is one of the planetoids that astrologers read now. And I'm really not up on all the asteroids. I kind of know a whole bunch of female energy has entered into the readings they're doing because those energies have entered closely into our charts. But that's, like I tell you guys, I know enough astrology to be dangerous, and that's what I know. Well, Marge, I'm going to look, because I had two of you with frontline workers. I'm going to look about Marge's office, and it's going to return and stay. Let's see what the situation is around returning to the office for Marge. There's going to be some rethinking about it. I think you've got mind in the crux, and I told you when one of them hits in there, it's really important. It means thoughts are all important. Do not become tied to the false energy of the past. In other words, how they handled it before. Final thoughts in that situation are coming, and let go of limitations. So I think you may go back, but I think this would, where this lies tells me you've got a more than 50-50 chance you will be working from home for the rest of the year. Clarification is going to come in the near future. That fate will be decided this fall, because this is exactly on the line of fall. And you've got your body in the future, and it's the furthest out. And the way I've come to understand the stones is the one that's furthest out has the most to tell me. And this says, I can't tell you right now, it's going to be what happens in the future. So it's going to depend on how much Iowa decides to grow up and be and deal with the COVID problem. Okay. Okay, someone wants to know about getting used to working with the garden. Questions keep popping up when using the garden. Do you use any meditation process in preparation to using the garden to connect with guides? My guides are standing here. Frank and Addie are here, and they're with me all the time when I read. When I start to read, they're just there because I've been doing it for so long. I don't do a magic meditation thing, but I do in the morning before I prepare for today. I write up some notes in my notebook, and there's two parts that I have on here that I was going to use if we got to this sort of middle point where we maybe need a little more inspiration. Yesterday morning, well, other than and I would have talked about this, but I had my incredible sound mess up, and I was like running around trying to get everything to work, which I'm sure if anyone's new to my channel, they will be old to my channel now. But Yeah, you can rethrow stones that go outside the garden, or you can look where they rolled out the furthest from. But what I wanted to talk about was yesterday, night before last, I got a phone call from Carlos, who was trying to work on building my eggs, and he told me he can build the medallions, but he doesn't have the equipment to do the eggs. And normally that sort of stuff would have driven me around the bed. I would have lashed. I couldn't lash out at him because it was a text, um, but this time I didn't. And the next day I actually got. I don't know if any of you get Daily Ohm, but they have wonderful thoughts for the day, and their thought for the day is, why do we lash out? And the question for me was, why didn't I lash out? Why didn't I go nuts? I mean, I've spent so much time and so much energy and so much, of visioning this and having it come through and finding out how people who have them say they're extremely valuable and they want them, blah, blah. So, normally that would have kept me up all night. I'd have been frantic, but I just let it go. My daughter said, "So I can't do it?" I said, something else will come up. I'll figure it out. And what happened was, an hour later, I got to talking with the artist who designed this board, and she works with a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. If you need an artist to help you get through the graphics process, she's absolutely brilliant. And I will give you her name privately because I don't have her permission to give her name publicly. But she called me and she said, "Oh, I just been working with someone on developing a new deck of cards, and the company I'm working with does acrylic things. Do you still need someone to work with your egg?" I mean, this was within an hour of him saying, "I can't do this." And she said, "They work with you through the whole process. They help you develop the product. They know what they can and can't do." And she said, "The reason I called you was I saw some really elaborate pours they had done in acrylics, and I'm sure they could help you figure out how to get the egg done." So she's today emailing back and forth with them about it. And I wonder if I hadn't gotten to a point where I was at a point of peace where I don't need to lash out at other people. I don't need to exaggerate them things. I need to understand the motivation of my own reactions. When I used to get angry, it's because I felt like I was failing myself by not being able to motivate everybody to do what they needed to do. And so yesterday morning when I woke up and realized I hadn't lost any sleep over this, I went, I guess I must be growing up. I always thought grown-ups could sleep all night when I was a kid. Okay. The other thing I got from Daily Ohm I got today, and it actually has to do with some readings I've been doing lately for individuals, and not on this channel, but in my other reading things. I do 3-month readings, lifestyle readings, year readings, and I use the garden to do readings, and I do past life readings. And this is about low self-esteem, and it's something I thought about, but I never could put it quite as concisely as they did with this. And it says, when you're feeling like you're going to beat up on yourself, and I have a feeling this full moon's going to make a lot of us rethink where we are. It said to write down 5 things you admire in yourself. Just make a list of the 5 things you admire. Do that for 5 days. And then go and stand in front of a mirror and read what you admire about yourself to the image in the mirror. When I started my weight loss, I had a meditation that had us do that. So, that's just sort of a tip for today. Okay, another question. Stones fall outside the garden. I put them back in, but I've had 2 people who've done political readings or tried to do political readings with me, and when they read the former guy, this stone, the mental stone, rolled off the board both times. They both called me to tell me because they thought it was so funny. That happened within 24 hours of each other. I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm wondering about guides. How many folks know their guides' names? I did not know my guides' names until I was 69 years old. I knew she was there. I threw a meditation with Brian Weiss. I actually met her, and we talked, and I asked her, I said, are you kind of hacked because I never went looking for you? And she said, "No, you did what I told you to do," so I was fine with that. Addie's really cool. What you can do, Andrea, is the way I found Frank. Addie I found with Brian Weiss, but Frank, I sat down one day and I was reading this thing that said we all have more than one guide, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll go find my other guide. And I sat down with a notebook. I write notes and things in, and I wrote down and I just said, okay, I have any other guides? And I said, Addie, if you can help with this is fine, but whatever. And then I just let the pen write, and this whole story came out about a guy named Frank, and he came from Albania. I've since found out, and I didn't get that the first day, but I got a thing that I had this man Frank, and he's a very masculine guide. Addie's a very dynamic woman, but he's like a guy. And I've never seen his face. I've seen Addie's face. I've never seen his face in my visions. But one time I got really, when I was falling down the political rabbit hole, I got really, really interested in where all these people were going that were taking money during the impeachment hearings. And I saw someone slipping money into their hands. And I know who all the senators are because I am a political geek. And then I saw them going down this dark hallway, and I wanted to see where they were going with their gold coin. And I started to follow him, and I didn't see Frank's face, but he stood in front of me. And he had on a big, like, leather workman's coat. Frank immigrated, his last human form life, he immigrated to New York City with a bunch of people from Albania and helped them survive coming to a new country. Anyway, he stood in front of me, and he said, "You're not going there." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "We've stood in front of you." And trust me, there's a couple things I could have gotten involved with in politics that were not as clean as I would have liked. And something stopped me from going to those meetings. Something stopped me from being in those places. And now I realize it was Frank. And he wasn't going to let me go see this vision. He said where they're going to is a very dark place. But 4 days later, I was listening to one of the readers, and she'd had a vision, the same thing I saw, of these people getting gold in their hand, and they walked down the hallway, and they fell into this black pit, and all she could see at the end was their hand trying to hold that gold up, but they were sinking into this black morass. I guess that's what Frank didn't want me to get too close to. Most guys don't take you on stories like that. What the hell? Okay. I just got news I didn't really want to get. Although I did see Nancy Pelosi rejected two of the idiots. There was two of the people who are probably going to be found to be co-conspirators in the uprising, and I think that was only sensible. I don't know for sure because Nancy Pelosi, I promise you, does not call me personally. But I can tell you right now, from the movements I see them making, from having been in the room when things happen with people in the past, they know a lot more, and there's no way that we're going to let those guys get on those boards, and they mostly because they don't want them to see the stuff they're gathering up. They have no right to see that, but if they were there, Jim Jordan was there, he'd just be doing a Dennis Nunez and running back to tell his masters what he knows. Does anybody else have a question? Okay, then we can go on to my next things. Oh, specials on the garden, that's still going on. If you write me an email at crystaldirections with an S .nancyjean at gmail.com. I've sent them out. I think I've had about 15 of you ask for those $10 off coupons, and I've seen a few of you get in the store to look at it. If you just want to go look at the garden and see what it is, you can kind of zoom in and see what all the things say. And so I've got that special going on. I want to thank Andrea, Lilac Lantern. Last night we did, if you haven't seen it, go back. It's not everybody's going to get all stressed about it meeting. But we did a thing on monthly meditations, and everybody brings in an issue they want to have people the whole collective of the people who watched. I think it's about 400 people watched. We talked about things. Danny was there, Debbie Free Spirit, Allie from Heart and Soul Connected, Renee, I, and Andrea. And the end meditation we did was, yes, the stones come with the garden. They come with the garden. Because I don't expect you to go out and find these things. No. It's all, the garden is the stones, the cornerstones, which actually represent the four elements in the middle, and it just kind of helps create a power grid around it. And you don't have to do anything special to them. If you just put them out, they work. And then the stones are in there, and it all comes in a tube. So you can carry it around in a tube if you want to. What I was saying, though, is we did the last meditation we did last night. Is I see today's good because I've been able to pretty much answer everybody's question. If I haven't, write it again because sorry I missed it. But the last meditation we did was I said for each person who had an issue that was in the chat to put their issue in the bucket, and we would pray for all of them to be relieved. And I think that's really a good way to do things because I'm fortunate because I have so many people who follow me, but they follow me slowly enough that I can keep taking baby steps. That's how to do it. But it was really kind of interesting. It was interesting to swell all that up. But part of the reason I came up with that way of dealing with it is tomorrow morning I'm going to be taping a show with Danny. It's not going to be live. We're going to edit it. But we're going to be talking about ley lines and dragon lines and geobiology. And if you guys think, oh my God, does that sound boring? It is not boring at all. If you look into geobiology or ley lines or how energy works, it's really how our whole planet as an energetic whole works. And Rory Duff, who we're going to talk a bit about, he and a crew of people go out and they go to places where the ley lines cross that are vortices, but some of the vortices have gotten broken either because they were neglected or otherwise. We'll talk more about that with Danny. But they go and they have found out that the ley lines and the effectiveness of the spiritual lines that are on the earth, they're reconnecting with the kind of cosmic and solar energy we haven't had in a couple thousand years because we were in a magnetic cloud in the universe protecting us. We're coming out of that cloud. It started in 2018, and apparently, it all kinds of follows. When I started reading about this stuff, I read about it a whole lot, and then I move forward. Okay, Laura, I'll look at your thing. But if it'll be up, I think, on my channel tomorrow night. I have a couple of wonderful short videos that show about frequency and vibration that you can't really see and how it can affect things that are next to it, because what they are finding out about people that go into certain parts of the ley lines and go into these vortices is these lines need human consciousness. We can help fix it. So yes, elementals and their energy are part of information that can be received from the garden because the garden's on the 4th and 5th dimensions, and elementals tended to be blocked because they were in the consciousness that we were raised in. They were considered kind of wrong. See about Laura Newby's, the situation around Laura Newby's energy. And we just talked about stones going off the board, and where did it go? I don't know. This is apparently a very spiritual question because your amethyst went way off the board. Let me get to it. It's going to take some maneuvering here, kids. That's the first time I've had one just really fly off. We're going to find out why that happened. That's why I like reading this way, because it gives me a chance to try different things. And we're all learning. Laura, this is no threat to you. You're fine. But it said, I want to read Spirit separately, is what I got from my guides. Addie said, throw that. This one we will throw again, this little guy. But what it says is, Your values and your clarity are moving forward. You're true. No, you're right on the mark, girl. Your body's in the sacral chakra. It's a great creativity. Your mind is in the future with enlightenment. I mean, these are all great placements, but let's see. Why did Spirit break off this one? Oh, it actually did roll off this part of the board. Because your sacral was right here with your body and embodying. Somebody asked me, what does it mean to embody something? To embody something, it means to give it real form. And what you're doing right now is your spirit is gaining real form through your own creative endeavors. Well, Laura. Oh, yeah, the Schumann resonance is part of what Danny and I are going to talk about. And it actually starts, Schumann resonance starts at the core of the earth, which is solid, and then it's got the molten cloud around it. And the Schumann resonance is like, the earth's like a bell. And if you ring a bell, it goes wah, 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 wah. And if you can actually go see the ley lines look like someone hit a bell in the middle of our planet, and then the lines came out and ended up on the surface. And where some ley lines have been here for centuries. It's another show, guys. It's really going to be fascinating. Watch Danny and I. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit it all in an hour. If we can't, then we'll go on to dragon lines and how you find them. And it has to do with dowsing. That's how this guy got into it. Roy Duff, he was a minerals engineer and scientist and geologist. And he wanted to figure out how come people could use dowsing to find the stuff he was looking for. And it's because the ley lines, the energy of the ley lines tell you. And if you live near ley lines, there's actually, you can go on Google and find out ley lines in your area. Okay, no, I got it back. The spirit's back. I mean, okay, we are at 42 minutes. Does someone else have questions? Because otherwise I could do my closeout things. I'm okay. We're going to go. This is a giftie from a friend of mine. This is a fickle flower of fate. That will always be on my board when we open up so you can see where I'm going to talk about. Okay. Vivian wants to know about her health. What's situation around Vivian's health? Oh. Well, the way you work, your body is your security, and that's what you're hoping to learn more about. It shows you're coming to some new conclusions with your mind in the earth and value in the earth and spirit in the earth, which has to do with your body here. Physical changes are coming for you, and these say, this one says, don't get tied to false energies in the past. Just because something you hurt somewhere before and it ended up being something, this is like a whole nother thing. It's like you shouldn't fall for the false. Don't trick yourself into thinking things are worse than they are. Your spirit's clearly transforming. It's going into moving away. So spiritually you're in balance. And this one also says more is to be brought forward. But I think you're ruminating on I think you're self-diagnosing to some extent from things that have happened to you in the past. You need to let go of the past, and you'll be fine, because your body's in the roots. Your basic energy force, your security, is tied to your body, so it will take care of it. Okay. Tina wants to know what Mother Gaia, our planet, thinks about Bezos. I would have thought, and I heard this joke this morning. They wondered why Bezos got delivered back to his base. He should have been put somewhere else and have Amazon say it was delivered, and that's what the records show. But anyway, let's see about, not just about Bezos, but about humans traveling in space. She likes it. She's not really sure it's the path forward for humanity. You got our values ended up right in the middle of the apex of air, earth, fire, and water, which means mental actions are the path to abundance. With this, clarification comes from the past. Things are being brought forward. It's a long-term pattern. It's just, she doesn't care. I mean, she's like, she'd rather we get off the planet and look back and see what we're doing to it than hang in here. Her spirit and clarity are coming forward. I don't think Gaia, spiritually, I don't think traveling in space is a bad thing. I think wasting resources is a bad thing, but that's another argument for another day. Thank you for the blessings and light. Yeah, and any way we can help another human being communicate, whatever their reasons, however it comes about that we have to help them, is really important, and that's to Andrea. Oh, you're not a baby. You're a baby. You're what, born in 51? You piker. I was born in 49. But it doesn't matter what age you start. I have a little granddaughter who's just smart as a whip and just believes in her spiritual self still. She hasn't learned to shut that down, and she doesn't live in a household that will do that. Okay. Okay, let's see. There was one other question up here. Okay. Somebody wanted to know for doctors can't see. Okay, what's the situation around Tammy's doctors being blinded? Oh, they're going to figure it out. You're going to get to the right doctor. Right now, you've been investing in the wrong doctors. Clarity is coming towards you. You kind of have a sneaky suspicion you know what's wrong. Is it in your head? Because what I've got is the stone that's so clearly in your head. Your situation is bringing you some change. I think you're going to be moving. Your thoughts are going to move you to present and future, getting your body all back aligned. And you've got spirit at the top of those. So I think you just need to find a new doctor. That's what, let me see. I'm going to see about the body and water. Yeah, you need to find a doctor that's more grounded in elements that you feel more comfortable with. I think you're going to find a doctor who can see what's going on and help you. Flora wants a message from Spirit. What message does Spirit send to Flora? And you realize when I read Flora's messages, I'm also reading out of the collective. So if it applies to you, take them. Oops. Okay. Right now, in Flora's case, I see that your mind's locked in the past, and it's stopping you from seeing things as clearly as you could. Spiritually, you know what you want to do, Flora. Go for it. Go for it. And go for it's like you're standing on a green, you can't see where the cup is, but you whack that ball and you get a hole in one. Your mind and your body coming to the same places, future and present. Things are occurring to you really, really quickly. You're having a lot of synchronicities that are telling you which way to move, and they're absolutely right because you've got mental actions are the path to your abundance, and that's where you're going to find your growth and the way that you can go. You've got to get your mind out of the past and just go for it. And don't let those false impressions, don't say, oh, well, did that really happen? It happened. Just accept it. Real estate's bad enough down here. Okay. Oops. There's a blood test for fibromyalgia now. I definitely, it came out of the University of Illinois. I definitely get it because I had a daughter-in-law who had fibromyalgia and was undiagnosed, and she went and got a body massage. That's when we diagnosed she had fibromyalgia. I don't know what the other disease is that you wrote there. But, make sure you're dealing with a doctor who knows that stuff and somebody who's out there dealing with it now. I know fibromyalgia can also be a disease of inflammation, and I've had my own experiences with that. But so for me, keto worked to get rid of the inflammation, but I don't know. I don't have a diagnosable disease, so don't quote me. Okay, we got a few minutes left. I'm going to do a surrender card. And then we'll get our fleur of the day, the language of fleurs. Oh, this is a cool one. Surrender to joy. The key to positive change in your life is to let joy in, and when you feel joy, savor it. Indulge the random acts of smiling. During both hard and easy times, surrender to more joy. And I think that's a great one for everybody to... I think that's a great lesson for everybody to learn. What is that cramp? Wait a minute, go away. Oops. Anyway, I can't see the language stream anyway. Let me see if I can find the chat room. And if I cut you off, I'm sorry. Nope, you're there. I'm learning this thing. I have a master's in computer science, and when I learned to program, you programmed on punch cards, so. Okay. Pick your fleur. Okay. Geranium. And in the language of flowers, geranium is virility. Shake it up a little. You've got this. Move forward. Take action. Great. And with that, I will conclude. Yeah, look for a group that kind of talks about the things, because you might find out. I would never have made it with keto if I hadn't found all the people that were kind enough to share what was going on in their life. So, except when you have something joyful happen, sit down and really savor it. Don't say, oh, well, that was nice, and let it pass on. Really sit down and savor it. I'm going to savor the wonderful things of being with all of you this afternoon. And I will be on again tomorrow. If you want to post your questions on the community page, feel free. Love and light and blessings on all of you. Thank you for your support of the channel. Like I said, you can go to my website, www.crystaldirections.com. Where do you email for the email? It's crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com. And my shopkeeper, who's also my daughter, who's also now not got COVID, so she can do this, she will send you a link that will take you into the website, and it will link you into getting $10 off on the garden. And in that, it explains all the things that are in the garden if you have any questions about it. I'm going to be using this set of tapings as sort of a way to teach people online how to use the garden. I'm also going to have some formal classes on it when I figure it out. So if y'all want to be, I told somebody it's sort of like, I sort of feel like A.E. Waite, who did the Rider-Waite deck, going around saying, I got these cards, they really work, back in the early 1900s. Anyway, thank you for all of you joining me here. I do readings. with traditional cards. I do this. I chit chat. I help people with life things. Whatever, I do all kinds of readings. So just let me know if there's any way that I can help you. Contact me. My email is on my website page, and it's also in the description of this program below.